Guys, how are you?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm very tired, but very happy.
I have no doubt, man. Let's just jump right in. So this is the morning after the verdict where a court said, yeah, Ed, you're right. You didn't steal any of Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On to make Thinking Out Loud. Look, there's got to be mixed feelings when a verdict like that comes down, right?
No, I don't think there's anything mixed about it. I think I was relieved and happy that the truth was heard.
Well, there's great stuff going on also. I mean, more great stuff, I should say. The album is out now, Subtract. The reviews are already coming in. Do you even pay attention to reviews?
I mean, like, this time is different because people actually like it. So yeah, people are sending me really, really lovely reviews, or like my brother sent me a screenshot of a 5-star review in England. But usually, like, I've never been someone that critics like, and I don't want to sit down and read loads of things about people ridiculing my craft. So I've never really cared about them or read them. But obviously, like, if someone likes something and say they like something that I've created, I obviously would love to see that, fan or critic. Like, if someone's like, we like it, and I don't want that to sound like a weird thing. I obviously know that you have to be impartial sometimes, but I personally wouldn't sit down and read 20 things of people that hate me.
Yeah,
I think that's not a weird thing to say. You know,
sure.
I don't want to spend my time reading things by people who don't like me.
Not that it even matters at all, but why do you think that critics, you said they don't really like my stuff all that much usually. Do you have any understanding of why?
I'm pretty sure Subtract is my first 5-star review. I'm pretty sure that's like, I don't think I've ever had a 5-star review before.
And what do you think it is about this album that, and again, critics, man, that they drive me crazy, but what do you think it is with this one that connected with them that others didn't?
I think there's a bunch of things. I think it's a cohesive record made with one producer, and that's something I've never done before. It's you know, it's difficult for me to say this because every album I make comes from real emotion and real stories, but I think this is coming from a place of like real darkness, and I think everyone can relate to that. Everyone has lost someone close to them. Everyone has felt low at times and not been able to explain it, and it's a bit more like, I don't know, I feel like a song like Galway Girl doesn't do that for people. You know, Galway Girl's a fun song that you get up and dance to, but in terms of like, I've never had a record that you just put on and it just is what it is. You hear the album. Like, I don't personally see any singles jumping off this record. It's just like, but I see the record being an important album. People will listen to it as an album rather than like divide. It was like Shape of You and Perfect and Castle on the Hill, and people would listen to those songs and then maybe the album, but this one feels like an album.
As I understand it, like initially this was supposed to be a completely different album, and then you kind of scrapped those songs because you had so much life experience happen over the last year. Is that right?
Yeah, I just felt like, if I'm going to put out a record, like all my records have been like timestamps of who I am and where I am. And it just felt urgent to put it out. I'd made it and I was like, I have to put this out. Like, just even from a processing point of view of just like put it out and move on. That's kind of what I feel like. You know, you read the Prince Harry book that he did. I think that is him processing everything and putting it out and leaving it in the past. And I think that there's something in that, in making something, putting it out and moving on, you know.
What have you learned? And I think you cover some of this in the documentary also that I watched a little bit of. What have you learned from the last year? I mean, this was one of those epic years for you, a lot of highs and a lot of lows.
I think that like my life has always been so meticulously planned, and I know the gig that I'm playing in 2026 in August. You know, everything is set out. And I think it has taught me that plans can change like that. And not to be so like rigid, because life is just very, very unpredictable.
It's so interesting to me because the tour kicks off in Dallas and then is swinging through Atlanta, and there's a whole bunch of dates too, and you should go online and check out if he's coming to your city, which chances are pretty good he is. But when you're doing an album like this, it's such an interesting space because most that go through a stressful time like this can sort of move on. You have to relive those emotions and those events every night on stage in an authentic way.
You know, it's very different when the songs are actually out and people are connected to them. Like, I found it very difficult playing these songs pre-album being out. You know, I felt because they're like, it's real life stuff that has happened and is happening and I'm going through. Whereas now, like, all of these songs are connecting with people, and I will stand on stage and I'll look out and I'll sing one of them and I'll look out in the crowd and I'll see people that those songs really matter to. And that's then what the song is about, rather than it being about the thing that happened to me. It then turns into the connection with someone else. Like, I don't stand on stage singing Perfect and think of my wife. I stand on stage and look out and see everyone connecting to that song. And that's what makes it fine to do. You know, it would be really difficult standing on stage every night being like, oh God, I'm reliving it all over again. But it's different once the album's out there.
That's so interesting to me, because I just automatically assumed that you were sort of like singing your diary every night and having to feel those emotions. And that would be impossible. It's robotic.
Yeah. I mean, there is an element to that, you know, now, like in the here and now. But I think by the time I'm doing my first Subtract show on tour in like 2 weeks, and I think by the time that happened, the songs they'll have become important to people, and it will just be a different thing.
So the documentary was really interesting to me. You guys got to watch this on Disney Plus too, because you have been such a private person for so long. And here this documentary is so inside, and it's showing so much vulnerability. Where was that pivot for you? Like, okay, I'm ready to share now.
I think to give the album, I handed in the album to the record label and they thought it was a breakup album. And I was like, no, it's actually an album about loss and grief. And that was the moment I was like, I probably should give some context to this. And that was sort of the driving force to make the documentary. And I sort of see the documentary and the album going hand in hand together. Like, one informs the other, and they're like a symbiotic thing.
Man, you got a lot going on. How do you balance it all out? Lastly, like how do you balance it off with family?
Oh man, this week has been tough. This week has been tough. Yeah. And I'm very, very excited to get to the other side of it.
I bet you're emotionally drained, man.
Yeah.
All right, Ed, I appreciate your time, man. Good luck with the album and the tour and the documentary and your family and everything else. You've always been awesome about coming on with us. So thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
See you, man.
The Bert Show.